And welcome. David Levin here, Raise Your Inner Game today. This is Tuesday, so we're talking sports and sports parenting. And this week we're talking again about athletes' mental health because it's such an important issue for them and for us as parents. But this week it's a different aspect of it. So I am back from a vacation last week. We were skiing out in Colorado for the first time with the whole family, and I am exhausted, but I'm really noticing the positive effects of being away from things for a week and having a little space in my life. And it reminds me again of the importance, especially with young athletes, of making sure their lives are not all about their one sport. We've touched on this in a couple of episodes already. Kim John Payne in his video in our starter kit talks about this. But as a parent, one of the best things we can do to support our kids in sports is to make sure their life isn't only about sports. Encourage them to have other interests, play an instrument, be in debate club, computer club, drama club, whatever, something with a different energy to it, a different intellectual experience, different social experience, not have all their friends and all their conversations be about the same thing. Also to have some space in their lives where they're not doing much of anything, just being with their thoughts and their imagination, like reading books and going on vacation and getting away from it all. All of this is just so helpful in giving a kid a chance to stretch and grow and discover different aspects of themselves, different ways of being in the world and being with people, really discover who they are. That's what the teen years are about, but when they get too focused on one thing, it stunts that natural development. Now, it's a little hard to know where that line is sometimes, especially if your kid is just totally into their sport. There's a lot to think about with any sport and to talk about and to learn, and it does help them be better and more successful. And when you're totally into something, it's exciting, and that's what you want to do. On the other hand, there are a lot of things our kids get into and maybe get obsessed about. It's actually sort of a natural part of being a teenager, getting obsessed about one thing or another. That's for sure true with our kids. And as parents, part of our job is to set limits and boundaries and make sure they're keeping a healthy balance so they develop into happy, caring, responsible grown-ups. Being too focused on any one thing is probably not good for anybody, but especially for children. One specific issue for young athletes is their physical health. It used to be that kids played different sports throughout the year, using different muscles and moving in a different way. Again, a balanced mix of things. But now kids tend to play the same sport all year round, and injuries are much more common than they've ever been. And that's a huge issue. You never want to see a kid get injured at all, but for an athlete, an injury, especially an early one, can easily be the end of their sports life, right? Which means all the benefits that come from being in sports they won't get. Another big issue is the one I talked about a few weeks ago, which is that it's not healthy emotionally for them to have their whole identity wrapped up in being an athlete. Again, this is true for any one thing, but especially for sports because by definition, it's just not going to continue for very long, no matter what. So if they get totally identified with it, it makes the inevitable transition out of it much more emotionally difficult and hard to navigate. And it frequently happens at a time when they're not yet fully developed emotionally and not well equipped to deal with it. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about this week. Can a young athlete be too focused? And the answer is yes. One of the best things we can do as parents to help our kids get the most out of their experience in sports is to make sure they have a life outside of sports at the same time. I hope that makes sense. All right, that's it for this episode. A little of a short one, but I still thought it was something I really wanted to talk about. If you have teenagers in sports, check out our Mental Game Starter Kit. It's a great set of resources to help you start boosting their mental game. Just go to raiseyourinnergame.com, scroll to the bottom. You can learn about it there and register. It's all free, of course. If you like what you heard on today's show, please do tell your friends and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to pods. Every review helps more people find the show and get the mental game boost they need. If you'd like to support the show so we can keep things ad-free, please click the Buy Me a Coffee link below, and thank you very much for that. Also, if you're listening to the audio podcast and you like video, we post all our episodes on YouTube as well. There's a link to that in the show notes. And finally, as we frequently do, we'll close with Steve Prefontaine, the legendary long-distance runner, and his quote from the end of the Raise Your Inner Game book. To give anything less than your best is to sacrifice your gift. To give anything less than your best is to sacrifice your gift. That's what we're doing. We're working to be our best and help our kids be their best. So keep up the good work, and we'll see you next time.